Hey, Dan here, and this is, I guess, no longer the ENFP reboot. It is May 1st. I have moved again, still in Valencia, but I'm now in Cabanyal, close to the beach. It's one of the coolest neighborhoods. I've spent a lot of time here. Love it here. And today we are talking about ENFP planning. First things first, speaking of planning, I will announce that I'll be publishing new videos in an ongoing basis. At the very least, I am going to publish on Tuesdays and Fridays at noon European time, Central European time, which means 6 a.m. Eastern time. So you can check out the videos with breakfast if you're in the US, or with lunch if you're over here in Europe. Now, that's something I'm going to stick to, but I'm going to experiment with it. It almost feels like not enough videos, but I want to commit to something that I know I can accomplish and stick to, even when I'm doing a lot, and then take it from there. It has been very doable doing a new video every day for the month of April. Really happy how it worked out and celebrating that. And by the way, there is the celebration call. Card will pop up here if you want to join me and some other ENFPs around the world for just a free hangout and kind of Q&A call that will be happening shortly. You can register for it there. Happy the way it went, but I also worry about what will happen with the quality of videos and repetitiveness and all that if I'm attempting to keep going at a video a day. It seems like a little much. Now, speaking of planning, for ENFPs, our brains are interesting. When it comes to big picture, we can plan on a very high level. We can see things well into the future. We can come up with new ideas and strategies and are some of the best problem solvers out there. Day to day, I've also found that ENFPs can execute extremely quickly. We can get into something and get a ton done in a very short amount of time compared to other types. Where we tend to struggle is that medium-term planning, where it's thinking okay, what am I going to do? What is my weekly plan, my monthly goals, time frames, outlines, the stuff ENTJs do really well. The stuff that's really great for middle and upper management. Not so much the visionaries who own the businesses, but the people who keep the day-to-day running smooth. I've just given up on this sort of planning. If you know how to do it and you've done it for years as an ENFP properly, love to hear how you do it in the comments. But for me, I've given up on that. The way I tend to plan is first, there are events. So coaching session, an ENFP group call, meetings, volleyball, anything that I have to go to that goes in a digital calendar, which is synced across all of my devices. Anyone I'm meeting with is added, so we're all on the same page. We all have the same time. If we're meeting on Zoom, the link is in the location in the meeting. So I just trust my entire calendar to the cloud and it handles it. And that also means that if something is not in my calendar, I do not show up because I won't know about it. So I check my calendar the night before the next day. I use that to plan the rest of my day, and then I show up where I'm supposed to show up. Highly recommend that approach for events. For tasks and project, I do not like to use the calendar. The process that works well for me is, I'm going to get in. I'm right now covering the details of kind of how I lay it out on a weekly basis, but then also there's the details of figuring out what you should do. But I like to lay out the big project that I'm working on. So right now it is finishing my new book. Then some of the little tasks that need to be done. These can be things everywhere from 10 minutes to a couple hours, but more like admin tasks or one-time things you need to do. It really helps that on the list of those things to identify how long they will take. So if you put 20 minutes beside something, I find that little bit helps a lot with planning. Then what you can do is either just go through your tasks sort of in a order through the day, starting with spending a couple hours on that most important thing. Remember, we've talked about deep work during the ENFP reboot. Or I've done this in the past. I'm not doing this right now, but I will use an agenda, a paper agenda, and I will insert each task. So, hey, this takes 20 minutes, I'll put this here. This takes 40 minutes, I'll put this here. And I'll basically plan out the hours of the day based on what tasks I will do and kind of how I will move through things. The reason to lay it out in advance that way is it stops you from switching tasks to avoid things you don't want to do. So if you say, hey, I'm going to do these 5 things today, and then you sit down and one of them you don't want to do, you'll jump to another task to avoid it. You know, maybe come up with an excuse or something in your head, but really you're avoiding it. And then you can find you end up jumping from task to task a lot during the day to avoid things rather than just getting each one done as you have to do it. More importantly, though, is the big picture. And for me, when I'm looking at a month, when I'm trying to plan big picture, it's all about one core thing that I want to do, and then the other aspects I consider like auxiliary accomplishment or task or sort of admin. So the way I look at it is, what is that one big thing? And for me this month, it is finishing this book and having it published before the end of the month. In June, it will be all about opening up the Free Freelancer. Yes, it's coming back. The next class of the Free Freelancer will be in June. So June will all be about opening that up and having a really successful group of members in the Free Freelancer. And that is where I spend the first half of my day and really focus on. And then either I go read, relax, learn, go to the beach, have fun, or if I feel like having a really productive day and I have a list of tasks that I need to do, you know, any sort of admin stuff or work with other people or whatever, that happens in the afternoons. So it means that the first part of the day is always making progress towards that one big focus for the month. And then the extra time in the afternoon is either nothing or working through smaller things, individual tasks, kind of ticking off to-do items. Now, usually, unless you have a lot of stuff built up, you should not have that much to do in the afternoons. And I know I'm mostly speaking here to fellow entrepreneurs and freelancers. If you have a job, it's maybe a bit different, but hopefully if you have a job you like, you have a lot of autonomy and you can actually decide this kind of stuff, right? And how you plan out your days. But if you find that if you have like 3 or 4 productive hours of tasks, admin, and other sort of work that isn't leading to your main goal every day, you're probably doing something wrong. Either you're just adding in extra tasks because you feel like you need to work in the afternoon because that's your obligation as a good, farmer to work every afternoon, or because you're in the wrong job or you're being forced to do work you shouldn't do. I let my admin, my tasks, my stuff build up a lot. And even now I'm looking at things like, I have to do stuff from a year ago and I laid it all out today. And it's still like, I think I can do in 2 or 3 days and then it will be done for the next, let's say 3 months here. So there really shouldn't be too much of that stuff. And if you do find that you have an overwhelm, then you might want to look at the foundation. Like, where's all that coming from? Where are you putting your time? Again, as an ENFP, it's really important we're focused on building assets using our strengths. And so that goes back to, how do you plan your months? How do you plan your days? Well, plan your month around building an asset, or it could be a couple assets. I say 1 thing per month, but maybe if you're working on something that only takes a week, then you're doing 3 or 4 in the month, but 1 at a time until it's done. And that should be the main focus. And then, planning around other tasks and things you just need to get done after that. Okay. Yeah. I am all out of brain juice today. I'm going to go and get a little more writing done. I will see you soon in our next video. The schedule will be posted on the channel here. The latest it will be Friday, but I really think there'll probably be something before. And of course, if you haven't yet, go through and check out the ENFP Reboot series. There are 30 videos published over the month of April. And at this point, you probably haven't seen them all. So lots of opportunity to catch up if this video wasn't enough for you. All right, see you soon.